was struggling with for the past hour or so, where I was planning on filming a completely different video. I was going to be filming another collection video, and at the beginning of the video I was already beating myself up saying, like, what's wrong with you? You're filming such a lazy video. Like, this is so easy to make. Why don't you try harder? Why don't you do something better than this? Put some effort in. And I had that thought in the back of my mind, but I pushed it away and I said, you know what? Nope, I'm gonna have fun with this. So I was going to start filming this collection video, and I was having fun with it. I was about 6 minutes into the video, and I was just catching the channel up about what I've been doing lately and kind of where I've been at creatively, what my plans for the channel are, just kind of where I've been at, right? And I realized at the 6-minute marker that I hadn't even started talking about the stuff that was going to be in the title of the video, which was the collection. And I stopped myself when I saw the timestamp, and I thought, oh man, here I am, sitting here, rambling, regardless of if I'm authentic or not. I'm rambling incessantly about something that has nothing to do with the title of the video. People are going to click on this, people are going to be frustrated and impatient, they're not going to care what I have to say. They're not going to care. It's not going to matter to them. So I might as well just, poo-poo this take and start over, right? And I think what's sad about that, just to kind of pause it there and take a moment with that, is that I was being so real and authentic and genuine, and I had no inhibitions holding me back from being myself during that first take. And I felt like that was so important to feel, because that's something that I've really tried to embody on this channel, is being real and genuine and authentic, and not letting those expectations that the internet and society can hold over us impact me and stop me. Because I think especially the internet is a very toxic place that can implement a lot of that insecurity into people, where they feel that they're going to be judged if they don't have this picture perfect image. If they trip over their words, they're going to sound stupid. If they are real and authentic and genuine, they're going to risk being deemed as cringy, or they're going to be judged. And that is a sad thing, I believe, in modern day society, and with something as broad as the internet being a place where so many people can connect and communicate, it can also be very divisive, and I find that to be very sad. And so, kind of cutting back to the point here, I continuously, for the last hour or so, tried to refilm that video over and over and over again. I've probably got over 50 takes on my phone right now, where I just continuously tried to restart the video. And the second time that I tried to film a take, I was talking about how long I talked about pointless things in the last take. Didn't even push it out of my mind. It was still weighing heavy on me. And then after several more takes, I was finally in a good place. And then, of course, my neighbor's chickens started being very loud, and then their dogs started barking, and then sirens were going off, and I was like, man, is the universe trying to test me, or am I just losing my patience because I want things to be perfect? And I've come to the conclusion that that is in fact the case, is that I wanted to be perfect because I was trying to cater to an audience, which is exactly what I told myself I was not going to do when I started this channel. And I don't feel that I should have to apologize for that, because so what if I talk for 6 minutes about myself? So what if for 6 minutes I catch people up about the channel, tell them about my creative endeavors, what I've been focusing on, what I'd love to focus on with the channel, my plans, my goals, my aspirations, my dreams? What is wrong with that? But that inner voice of shame and disappointment and insecurity just festers and grows when you have that doubt within yourself. One glimmer of doubt is all it needs to get the gears turning. And I feel like that's what happened earlier when I simply looked at the time. Because here I am now. It's been about 6.5 minutes, and I've been talking about something that I feel very strongly and passionate about. Something I feel needs to be talked about, which is the struggles with being self-conscious, the struggles with assume a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people who put themselves online, or people that focus on creative projects, I know that I've had this continuous struggle with my channel in general for a long time, where when I first started this channel, I was very much a perfectionist, and I would sit there and film take after take after take, trying to get the perfect take, and make sure that I didn't slur my words, make sure that I didn't look stupid in a shot or another, make sure that I was keeping people captivated and entertained, make sure I didn't go off on too long of a tangent. And I kind of laughed at myself about that one, because if anyone that's been with this channel since the start knows what this channel is about, a lot of it is about rambling. A lot of it is about embodying that authenticity and just being myself, talking. I encourage all of my subscribers and everybody who just watches me, I encourage everyone in general, honestly. It doesn't matter if you watch me or not, but I always try to encourage people to be themselves. Always try to say, it doesn't matter what those inhibitions tell you, be yourself. You don't have to put on a mask. When I communicate with people, I want them to be genuine, and I don't want them to be afraid, because we have that ingrained into our very soul, and it is very sad to know that there are so many people that hold themselves back from being real because they're afraid of rejection. Earlier, when I mentioned that I thought to myself, people are not going to want to watch my video because at the 6-minute mark, here I am not even getting into my collection, right? People are going to be bored. That's coming from me. I didn't even give anyone an opportunity to say that. I didn't give anyone an opportunity to think that. That all came from an inhibition and an assumption that I placed on myself. And that stopped me from being happy and being authentic, because I was on a roll earlier. I was having so much fun filming, and that's what I want. I want to be able to have fun with this, because this is as important to me as any other creative project. I'll be honest, lately I've found a very strong passion flare back up again for a project that I abandoned for many years, a writing project. I've been very inspired to work on it lately, and so a good chunk of the day today I was focusing on writing, and I really miss that. And it's so much fun to get back involved with that again, and I feel like for a very long time I was held back by this fear of my abilities as a creator, someone who's loved creating pretty much everything, from art to writing, poetry, music, filming, all forms of art really. I've definitely held myself back by thinking the words, I'm not good enough, so why try? Even if I felt like working on a project, I have stopped myself by placing this boulder in my road and saying, you're not going to be good enough. There's always going to be someone who's better than you, so why are you even trying? It's kind of silly, isn't it? And I think we all have this voice, this inner voice that can hold us back, and I really wanted to open up about that on here, because I think it's really important to be transparent about that, because I'm sure there are so many people out there that don't really talk about that, that don't even really acknowledge it themselves, where I feel we can really hold ourselves back. I mean, it's true, the quote, we are our own worst critic. I had an interaction today with a coworker who was telling me that they were very insecure about going to the gym because they felt that they would be judged because they didn't know how to use the equipment properly. And I just kind of laughed to myself, because I thought, if I was at the gym, I would not care, I would just be like, okay, they're doing their thing. I don't care. I don't know how to use the equipment at the gym. I don't go to the gym, so I don't know. That is an insecurity of mine where I can understand and relate to that insecurity of, yeah, no, that would be kind of scary, because there's all these people that are, very well versed in what they do there, and they would probably be judging me or laughing at me internally or whatever. The fact of the matter is that hasn't even happened. I haven't even given myself a chance to experience that. I have actually prevented myself from experiencing anything within that field because of that inhibition, because I have already assumed what is going to happen. So I've put my foot down and said, I'm not even going to try, because this might happen. That is the problem, is we assume a lot of what's going to happen in the future, and this is true. What does it do? We know. But I think that is a serious problem when it comes to inhibitions, where we don't even give ourselves an opportunity to try something because we're afraid it might fail. And that can be really sad to see how few people allow themselves to just push through that. And it is seriously, like, you have to be strong mentally. You have to make a very conscious effort to be yourself. You have to make a very conscious effort to say, I want this. I want to accomplish this. I want to have fun. I'm going to do this. I don't care what other people think. And that is something that's taken me a very long time to start to just find a glimmer of comfort within. Because even now, it can be really hard for me to put myself out there. Even having this conversation now, I've had so many thoughts rolling through my mind of, oh, you sound stupid here, or people are going to like this video, or whatever. And I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if people think that I'm pretentious by making a video like this. I don't care if people think that this is a ploy for attention. I don't care if people think that I'm trying to portray an image. This is me. I'm being authentic and being real. This is the actual me. And that is something that sometimes I need to convince myself of, because we put these masks on, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes subconsciously, where we are afraid of how people are going to react to the real, genuine us, because being vulnerable is scary. It is so scary to be vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable, you are most likely to be hurt and have it really stick. You know, that vulnerability mixed with pain is just, it's really awful. I don't really know how to describe it. I think that's why a lot of people can be very guarded about opening up to others, being honest, being themselves. The internet is such a toxic place for that, which I've been on many tangents about this in the past, but I think it really does dehumanize, and it makes it easier for others to come down on people, and, you know, for them to say whatever's on their mind. I mean, because I think it's really important for the internet to be a place where people can say what's on their mind and be open and real and honest, but I don't think that condones cruelty. That's my opinion. Obviously, there are people out there that might disagree and say, hey, freedom of speech, I can say whatever I want. It's true. But I think it can be sad to what I think is wasting your time to what am I trying to say here? I think it's sad to what I believe is to waste your time, there we go, on mistreating others, or, you know, posting an upsetting comment, saying something cruel to someone. You know, there's one thing about, like, having an opinion about something, and there's another about trying to be deliberately cruel, where I've seen so many people that have been vulnerable and real and opened up and expressed themselves online, and had people belittle them in their comment section over their appearance or the way that they sound, and just a whole plethora of things that people can't control. It's not like just a difference of opinion. It's genuinely, I just think it's people being cruel, and I think that can be really sad, because it can take a lot of guts to put yourself out there. And, you know, one could argue that if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? So, I don't know. I think, yes, there is something to be said about that if you can't handle criticism, don't put yourself out there. But at the same time, I think I would love to see people being kinder to each other and recognizing that that is a person on the other end of the computer or the other end of the phone, because I think we really do dehumanize each other with the internet. Whereas, you know, I could type something really cruel to someone and I'm never going to see their actual reaction. I'm going to see letters on a screen. I'm not going to see how that actually impacts them day to day. I'm just going to get a momentary dopamine rush of satisfaction, because here I am saying what I want to say, being myself, right? Even if it is at the cost of someone else's happiness. And whatever they respond with, it's just words on a screen. I'm not picturing an actual person. I guarantee you that's, you know, a good 80 to 90% of the people that say whatever they want on the internet would not have the courage to say the things that they say online to the people that they say it to in person. self-conscious side, to believe that people are going to gang up on us because, if one person says something critical to you in person, yes, that might stick, but it's not going to stick the same as a few hundred people being critical of you online, where they're going to, do we have fireworks outside or what's going on? I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm trying to ignore the background noise, but it's a little concerning. A lot of loud noises. My neighbors had chickens going off, dogs barking. He's been noisy. I don't know what's going on. But what was I trying to say? Something about dehumanizing. Oh man, I think I kind of lost it. I guess. Oh, well, there's more to be said about like mob mentality on the internet, whereas I feel that's in person, you're less likely to have a whole crowd walk up to you and be like, you're ugly. Whereas on the internet, you're gonna have like 300 people to a million people. I mean, typically not a million people, that's a lot, but several thousand people that could comment the same thing, and kind of that mob mentality of, oh, this person's ugly. Like I've seen people that have been so cruel, making horrible comments about people with Down syndrome, or racially charged comments, or gender charged comment. I mean, is that a correct term? Is that right? I said racially charged, but I guess like sexist comments is where I'm trying to get at. But just really awful things that it's really sad to see people stoop to that low and see that that is seen as entertainment, because I just don't feel that way. I don't get that. I don't get that rush out of being cruel to people, and it's sad that like I can say this right now, and I can guarantee that there's someone out there that's like gonna laugh at me and be like, "You're so weak because you don't want to make fun of people," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" It doesn't make sense to me. I just laugh because I'm like, I can't imagine being deliberately cruel to someone for no reason, even to have a reason. I just can't see being cruel to someone. It's just not in my nature. I guess I'm weak. Sorry. Or maybe I'm strong enough not to let that dark side of me take over. I don't know. But kind of circling back to our self-conscious aspects, we fabricate in our minds what people are going to think about us. We assume the worst. We always assume the worst when we get in that self-conscious state. We shame ourselves because we think we're not going to be good enough, because there are people out there that will tell us that, and we have to remind ourselves that that is not everyone. We have to remind ourselves that those opinions do not matter in the grand scheme of things. They don't matter at all, because there are going to be people out there that are consistently going to tell you that you're not good enough, and that is unfortunate that that's what those people choose to do with their free time, right? But you don't have to listen, and I know it's so hard to not listen to it, because that voice can magnify and be in your head tenfold, right? And just spin around and spin around. That is something I've dealt with for so long, but I've also dealt with for a very long time my own lack of happiness, because I've prevented myself from being happy, because I've told myself that if I try to accomplish A, B, and C, I'm gonna fail, so I might as well not try, so I might as well not be happy. That is the last thing that you should do for yourself, is prevent your own happiness and convince yourself that you are not worth what you want to do in your life, that your time isn't worth it, that you should just I don't know, there's a whole plethora of things that I could go on about, like, don't just sit and scroll and give your time to companies and advertisers, like, if you want to go paint a picture, go paint a fucking picture, because nothing is going to stop you from doing that. Nothing. Only yourself is going to stop you from doing that. And if you think to yourself, oh, I want to paint, but I don't think it's going to look good, who cares? Who cares? You know why? Because you want to paint. That is what you need to focus on. It does not matter what the result is. The matter is that you want to paint. You want to do that, right? So do it. You want to go create a song. You want to go give a friend a call because you haven't talked to them in a long time. And you might be afraid because, oh, what if they say this, or this? You're not even giving yourself regard our own opinion. It is so important for us to focus on these struggles that we all, I don't want to sound redundant, but these struggles that we all, I guess, suffer from. I don't know, I just felt compelled to make this video, and I hope that it helps. I feel like along the way I've kind of been losing my point, but my point being that it's really important to listen to yourself and what you want and what you need, and not let the hypothetical voices of others get in the way, because it's very easy to convince yourself that something isn't worth it, or why bother. And I think that that is probably one of the number one barriers in our lives, is ourself. And so moving forward, I'm gonna try and be less held back by those barriers, if not at all. Obviously, it can be a slow, tedious process to change, because you can't just always change overnight as much as you'd like to. It's just not always common, right? Because it requires persistence, and you have to give yourself grace, because even if there are times where you fall back on your word, you make a promise to yourself and you break it, there are times where that's going to happen, and you can't beat yourself up. You have to give yourself grace and propel yourself with encouragement and not self-deprecation. So, anyways, I hope that this video makes sense. I just wanted to offer some of my struggles with being self-conscious, struggling with the worry of what other people are going to think. I know I talked a lot about like the internet and stuff, and that's a tangent that I've gone off on a lot, and I'm not going to apologize for it, because I probably already mentioned in the title that this is going to be a ramble of some sort. But anyways, I just felt like this was some important information to get out there. So I hope this video helps in one way or another. If it doesn't help with encouragement for you guys, maybe it can just offer some perspective on what it can be like to be behind the camera and be a creator, or just be a creator in general when it comes to art of any kind. I just want to be real, raw, genuine, authentic, all of the above. I keep using the same damn words over and over again. But yes, I just want to show you